You have to take advantage of chances that you get. And you can't think twice, and you can't think, oh, well, this one pays better, or, oh, I'd rather just wait it out. Maybe next year. It's 2021, folks. Get on it.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
It's time to roll. Hoot hoot. We are back. Straight Candid. What episode is this? I wonder. It's going to be probably 14. You will notice that I am alone today. It's just me, solo dolo Sid. Soph has stepped out of this because we are trying a new thing where Soph and I do episodes separately in case one person can't make it to it, or you have something that we are extremely passionate about talking about. And that for me in this particular episode, which you'll get to hear a ton from my friend Sam, but it's about being different and accepting who you are, accepting that you don't have to go about life in the normal thing. You don't have to look to people next to you and do exactly what they're doing just because one person says what you're doing is not right or like the norm doesn't mean you can't do it and prove other people wrong. So I'm just excited about this episode because we're going to jump in, and Sam is already here. I usually would jump in and do a candid moment, but I asked my sister, Taylor, who she's going to be like, no, don't mention me in the pod, what she wanted to hear from Soph and I on like a next episode about our candid moments. And she said she's 20 and goes to the U. She wanted to hear about like 20 to 25, those ages, reflecting on loving yourself and not caring what others think of you, and bringing in how it relates to like where you've been and what I know. And I mean, I'm only 23, almost 24, but it's like that gap between 20 and 24 is wild, and 20 to 26 is even more wild. So I thought, instead of me rambling on about what I thought and in the beginning, I'm going to bring Sam right into this episode because I think he's here. So I'm speaking right to him.
Hello.
I'm like, say hello, really? He went off the norm, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, but he went off the norm of what society says is what you should do in order. And you kind of did what everyone thinks they couldn't do. You know what I mean? And you'll speak about that probably, of how everybody's like, who's this guy? And like, what is he doing? Or your friends are like, what the fuck? How did he do that? How did he travel? Like, how did he just drop everything and go? Because that's who Sam is. Sam and I met in college at the U. How the hell did we meet? I was reflecting on this.
Before the U.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because our mutual friend. Was it Logan?
I can't remember, but you came out on Londo's boat.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
Twice.
Okay, that's what it was. Of course,
and
us
you
and our
ripped it wake surfing. You're actually really good. Like a lot of people that go out there aren't very good, but
I appreciate you. Dang. Okay, cool.
So I remember little things like that. But yeah, we came
that's
across
right.
at the U a few times because of fraternity sorority stuff.
That's okay. That's how it was. I was like, I don't remember meeting you at the U because we had already met. That's why. Okay, it's all coming together. The reason Sam is here today, you guys, and I'm not going to pretend like I know his entire story because I didn't want to learn his story until he got on the podcast, because he stepped out of the norm post-college. I'll let you talk us through this, but he actually didn't finish college. He took a completely different route. It wasn't his thing. It took you, what, you did about
I did 4 full years.
You did 4 full years, but then you didn't never finished.
Not credit-wise, but time-wise.
At the length of time being there and having a good time was 4 years.
On the resume, 4 years at college.
Technically, he did 4 years, so who cares? But he decided to drop everything, travel, and do something completely out of the norm and go right to Australia with basically nothing.
Yeah.
And just go. No expectation of where he was going to go, no idea of where he's going to work, when he was going to come back, nothing. But do what exactly, honestly, my probably biggest fear is, and do nothing stable. So,
well, I think a lot of people probably think the same way, that's such
that you
a
can't.
Scary thing, or that they could never do it or something like that. And that's, I don't know, something that I try and tell most people when I come back is that not that you couldn't do it, but you wouldn't do it. Something that we have said many times before.
Right.
But yeah, you just told me to introduce myself. My name's Sam Delosh. Delosh is my last name, for those of you that don't already know me. And I just got back from a few years traveling abroad. And I don't really call it traveling. I'd like to say that I lived over there.
I think you can say live.
I did little travel trips and stuff, but when you really get involved in somewhere and you start working and get into the community, it doesn't feel like you're traveling anymore, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like you're living there. And short thing about college, it was really awesome. I joined a fraternity and was a party animal for sure.
You were.
And I loved every aspect of college but the school, or but the college part. And I just kept doing it because that's what you do, or that's what I was told that you do. You know, you go to high school, you get into the best college you can, and then you go there for 4 years and get your job after, and you get comfortable. I wasn't really comfortable. Battling with school in and out, and then I ended up having to pay a lot for a little, and decided that I got to go a different route. So I started working at a restaurant and just saved up some money. And yeah, I think I had like $1,500 when I went to Australia the first time.
That's okay. Wait, so what restaurant did you work at?
Kona Grill Sushi.
Oh yeah, I love Kona.
Right in
Except
like
their
that
prices went
Ridgedale
up.
area.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. So you decided when that you were going to just work at this restaurant?
Well, it was after the 4th year. I went on like a academic suspension sort of thing. Like I was doing very bad in school, and they're like, take a little bit of time off and reevaluate. And in that little bit of time, I realized that I don't even want to go back. I just want to go and try and figure some other shit out first. So I did, yeah. And I just picked up. I actually went to join my girlfriend at the time, and that changed really quickly, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't together for very long, but I found myself in an opportunity on the other side of the world to try to show myself that even though I did fail out of school, even though I didn't do the norm like we talked about, that I can still, support myself and make something for myself in a completely new area.
So you're $1,500, I should say. So $1,500 in your pocket. You're over in Sydney, Australia?
I was started in Perth, and then I flew across the country to Cairns, where I lived the whole time.
So you're in Perth. You have nothing. You have no job. Did you have a visa at this time?
I did have a job in Perth. I worked at Little Creatures Brewery. It's a little brewery there. And I was just brewing beer, serving tables sort of thing, like right on the water. It was great, but it wasn't like fulfilling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like I was doing something that I could do here over there.
So you're like, why am I doing this?
Right. And I even actually bought a plane ticket home for a little bit because I was like, I tried this. It didn't work out. Blah, blah, blah. But I ended up canceling that plane ticket. I lost half the money.
No.
So I lost like $400
No.
on that. This was a few months in. This wasn't like straight away. But it just shows that, everyone sees only the things that you want to show them about trips, about life, about all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that it's not all fun and games. There's a lot of tough times and stuff.
Which is exactly why I wanted you to come on, because Soph and I recently, a few weeks ago, actually started a hashtag Straight Candid, and it's moments in time that we want people to share on social media, and we'll share on our social media that showcase the human things, the things that we don't put on social media usually, the things that are like, well, that's kind of taboo to post. Like, well, this is your best life. Why would you post it on your, Instagram? It's like, no, actually, let's normalize that things happen that are not great, or that make you feel like an idiot, or that like the behind the scenes of traveling when you see all, these amazing pictures and views. It's like you on your trips, I want to hear your timeline first, but you thought you were going to lose your life a few times, like scary moments. I mean,
yeah, a few definitely scary moments there. It wasn't like
life or death.
It wasn't necessarily life or death, but you can have that thought. Like if one thing goes 1 inch the other way, things could have been really bad. Yeah.
Jeez.
But you can get that even being here, as well, or you just gotta realize that life can be very short. It can be taken at any time, so you got to be able to just roll the dice and enjoy the times that you have. Yeah, definitely.
Heck yeah.
So you talked about timeline.
I want to hear your timeline start to finish, because you had sent me one, and I could barely follow it because I was like, holy hell, I don't even think I've traveled this much in my entire life. I was like, what? Excuse me. But yeah, go through your timeline. We know now, so it's what? December 2017 is when you got
when
to...
I initially left.
You left the U.S. with the $1,500. You went to Australia. Okay, walk me through just where you went.
So flew into Perth, which is on the western side of Australia. It's one of the only big cities in WA, and worked at the brewery there. Tried to, get my money a little bit higher than it was so I could do a few more things.
Make some bank.
Right. And I did that, and then bought a plane ticket over to the East Coast, which is up in Cairns. I always loved the outdoors. I've always loved Great Barrier Reef, and I thought I did. I didn't actually know until I was there. So I wanted to check it out, right? If I'm all the way already in Australia, I got to go and do that. So flew over to Cairns. It cost me like $300 to get there. And then, again, started working at a restaurant because that's what I could get into straight away. And
Where, can I interrupt you? Where were you living at this point?
I was living in a hostel for the first few days.
Okay, got it.
While I'm trying to find places on something like Craigslist, basically. It's called Gumtree there, but it's people put rooms up to rent and stuff like that. And it's much more common here to have like a share house full of, 5 to 10 people.
Right.
Instead of like having to go and get your name on a lease and all of that kind of stuff. So I did that and then only did it for about 4 or 5 days at the restaurant until I got my interview at my scuba job.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't actually have much experience with scuba before. I knew I loved it. I'd gone on a few resort dives and stuff when I was a kid, but I didn't have my open water ticket, which is like your entry-level diving ticket. And that was the only requirement that you had to do in order to get this job. So I told him, I was like, I'll get this certification only if you already tell me I have the job, or else I'm not going to spend the money.
Yeah, no point. How much does it cost?
It's about like $300-$400.
Okay, yeah, and you don't have this money at this point.
Well, not to just throw if I'm not going to use it for my job.
Exactly.
So then I thought, okay, and he said, yeah, go ahead and get your ticket, and then we'll start you out. So my housemate at the time, or someone in the hostel, was a scuba instructor themselves. And they were like kind of good friends, just acquaintances. And they're like, well, you've gone before and you're comfortable with it. Why don't you just go on your trial day? A trial day is like a test day. When you get a job, you go for a trial. And then if that works out, then you get the job.
Yeah.
So I asked him to just go for a scuba on my trial day. And I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So I tried to figure it out. Like, it's not too complex, but just watching other people and stuff. And I went for a scuba dive. I probably looked like an idiot.
Whatever.
But I did it. I came back and I was like, yes. And I told my friend straight away. I was like, yeah, I went and it's awesome. Handed her $50 and she signed me off as a scuba diver.
Dang,
so,
that's it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
That probably shouldn't go too public because I'm doing that as a profession now. But yeah, that's a fun little fact. I actually never even did that. So I had no experience. I was way over my head when I went into this job. All these people were, professionals in it.
Well, and people are coming to you, right?
And I was just faking it till I make it, really. Seriously.
But really, that's what everybody's doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you have to. And I think I had like 5 or 6 scuba dives the first time I took customers. So I was like, they paid for me to take them around underwater, and they all had way more experience than I had.
Oh, no way. No way. So they obviously were coming to you to see the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
And you were showing them around something you'd never seen before?
I had no idea where I was going. No idea where I was going.
That is so good.
I was just swimming around. I was like, please get back to the boat.
And we're going to see a fish here in a minute.
The worst thing you can do is get people lost. Like if you're guiding them.
Yeah.
They don't want to worry about navigation. But if you don't get back to the boat, they're like, we just paid you to get us lost.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
My heart was beating. I was like, get back to the boat. Okay, I took a left here. Okay, keep going. Okay. Yes, I've been here before. I know it. And I made it back to the boat, and I was so pumped. And, it was just, and people don't know, if you can have that confidence and give them the idea that you're a pro, then you're more of a pro than you think sometimes, I
think that's in anything, too.
Yeah, of course.
Just holding yourself to this higher, like, hey, look at me. I'm like, I've got confidence. I think I know what I'm saying. You don't know that I don't know, but I think I know. And you just roll with it.
Well, a lot of people get so nervous before that kind of stuff, too. They'll just reach out to any sort of confidence or comfort. They're like, take me, show me around, do this for me. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured it out pretty quick. Like, this wasn't like a long-term thing, because I really loved it. And that was a difference between scuba diving and school for me, was that I found it very easy to learn things that I want to learn and that I can apply to what I do on a day-to-day basis and is actually interesting to me. And not to say school isn't interesting for everyone in different ways, but for me, myself, I needed something that was more applicable. And I ended up learning really, really fast. That was a 90-day training sort of thing where it trains you to be a dive master, it's called. It's like 5 or 6 certifications in between there.
Nice.
In 90 days.
Nice. Well, as you're just exploring basically the world in a place you've never been.
We're just going out to the reef for a week at a time, sometimes on a liveaboard boat and doing 6 scuba dives
on the
day.
Boat.
Yeah, overnight.
Wow.
And we could sleep 44 people on our boat, passengers overnight, so it was a big boat. It's like 115, 120 foot boat, 4 stories high.
So just to back up just a hair, how did you find yourself even in this position? Like you've scuba dove or on different trips randomly at random, I'm sure with like your family and friends. How did you stumble into a job in a random place? Because I'm sure like most people who, including myself, who's just lived here in Minnesota, minus like one trip to Arizona for a little while, is like, how would you just stumble into a place where everyone's different, social norms are different? Yeah. How the hell do I get a job to live?
Right. Well, you could call it stumbling in, but also you really have to go and push and try.
Right.
That's kind of what I mean. It's behind the scenes. It's not like someone came up to me on the street and said, hey, do you want this job? You know what I mean? We were dock walking every day. I was going down to the marina and asking all the fishing boats, all of the scuba diving boats, hey, I have no experience, but how do I work for you? I have nothing else. I'm willing to dedicate everything to that because that's what I want to do. And a good friend, Nathan, became a good friend, wasn't a good friend at the time, told me, because I was looking for work outside of the water because I didn't have any scuba certification. So I just wanted to be the cook on a boat or a deckhand of some sort. And he was like, no, you should do the traineeship that I was referring to, that 90-day program. And I was like, oh, okay. And he gave me the office name, and he ended up being really good family friends with the owner.
Okay, got it.
Or the general manager, basically. And I don't know if he put something in behind the scenes or just in that 30-second interaction, he thought I'd be a good fit or wanted to be friends or something like that. And 2 days later, I got an interview. And then the next day I got that trial that I talked about. And then I got the job like 3 days later after I got my fake open water.
And just like that, from being like a kind human, because you can just tell when you're around you, and obviously people aren't seeing you right now, but like you're just easy to speak to, like easygoing, but you're also a go-getter, and you went for what you wanted to do. You're like, listen, I need a job, like, right. But you were still kind about it. And you became best friends with this person that you just interacted with on the dock one day. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And it's another thing towards that, like, that comfort or that complacency. Mm-hmm. I had a job there. I had a place to live, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I wasn't getting a lot of self-worth out of working at a restaurant. I wasn't loving my job. I was like, fuck, I got to go to work at 4 and it's 3:10, like. But there wasn't one day that I woke up and said, fuck, I got to go to work to my dive boat or
when you're scuba diving.
Right.
Damn.
And there wasn't one time where I looked at my watch and said, when do I get off? I did it for 2.5 years. There wasn't one day.
And what the difference between you and other people is that you actually went when you notice, like, hey, I'm not loving what I'm doing at all. In fact, it doesn't matter if I'm in the most beautiful place on the planet or not. I hate my job, and therefore I can't do this. Right. Like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to waste my time. Right. It didn't matter where you were.
No, I mean, I would do the same thing here. I had so many jobs here growing up.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure.
I would go until I got the best one or the one I wanted. Or if I didn't, I would get a little bit of money from it and then shoo it away and go for something new. Like, I'd never have really cared too much about, like, and maybe it's a bad thing,
I was going to say, what did you not care?
Stacking up cheddar and like really making sure you got a big bank account and being comfortable. And maybe I'm a bit too comfortable with not enough.
Mm-hmm. Or the unknown.
But it's something that I've, especially through the last few years, have grown to love and gotten a confidence in me that pretty much I'm happy to go anywhere and do anything, and I can try and figure it out.
Because maybe that gives you grit. That you're comfortable with the unknown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To like go and find something that you love to do and go continue to make a life for yourself with nothing, basically.
Well, just even on the first or second day of work, you're like, I'm getting paid for this. And, and that might be a different job for every person. There's probably so many people that would have hated that job.
Mm-hmm.
It's really long. It's physical. You have to deal with passengers bitching all the time and stuff like that. But it's got different ups and different downs, just like every job does. But you got to find what you feel is like, okay, this is what I want to be doing.
This is what I want to do. Spend my time with. It
takes a long time for people. I feel really lucky that I found that at the moment. And it's not only scuba, it was just like the maritime industry now, like ocean. I mean, I grew up in Minnesota. Like, people ask me all the time, what the hell are you doing out here? Like, how did you get on the ocean if you grew up in Minnesota?
That's what we're all wondering here, even too.
Well, I do too, I ask myself that question a lot, but you're a product of your upbringing, but to a certain extent, because there is those little things where, if you grew up in Minnesota, you never would know if you loved the ocean, if you never got to go and see it or visit it or scuba dive or do something like that, or if you grew up in a hockey family, but you always wanted to be a basketball player,
Right.
You would have never known because you would have played hockey before it was your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And you might really love basketball, but it's hard to do that when society, family, friends is like, what are you doing? Why would you go? You're a hockey player. Why would you quit and play basketball?
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
You know what I mean?
Well, can we pause your timeline too then? And can you talk about when you
We
were
totally
like,
went off the timeline.
oh, we did. Well, I knew this was going to happen. It's like ADHD 1 and 2. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever.
Thing
I'm
one,
fine
thing
with that.
two.
We take it where it goes. Who cares?
Right.
Talk about when you were leaving, actually, maybe even when you had left and you were like, hey, actually, I'm not coming back. Like,
Yeah.
what did society, your family, your friends, what were they saying? Like, were they like, what the?
When are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you coming back?
Constant.
Over and over and over
Constant.
again. Yeah. Because I didn't know, and I would say, oh, maybe a month or two, or oh, maybe another few months, or oh, I'll be back after the first year, and I kind of just kept saying that and pushing it on, and it wasn't like I was putting off the inevitable, and I didn't want to tell them when I was actually coming back. It was that I truly didn't know myself. But
You didn't want to. Yeah, you didn't want to know.
I didn't have something to really come back to. I didn't have a career job or something that I really loved that I went to go travel for a bit and then come back to. That's why I say I wasn't really traveling. I wasn't like on vacation. I just took a big plane to the other side of the world and then I just started living there for a little while. So it was, so yeah, they were always saying, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And my dad was like, are you okay? And how much money are you have? And how are you doing this? And I mean, he probably wouldn't like how slim pickings my bank account was at times, but he doesn't need to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't need to know.
As long as I'm safe, that's what really matters. And if I wasn't safe, I would reach out to friends, family, people, of course.
Of course you would. So at first, I suppose maybe he was a little bit tighter on what he thought about it. Or the people closest to you were like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people as well, because of the whole college situation, thought I was running away, running away from being that quote unquote college dropout that everyone's so scared to be, or that everyone
that society wants you afraid of.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not promoting dropping out of college. Don't take that from me. But what I am promoting is that you can't, because everyone says high school, college, job, family, repeat. That doesn't mean you have to do it that way. And there's a lot of other routes to get to the same goal at the end. And whether you know that goal or not, I don't know what my goal is in life, but I'm just going to keep going around until I find out what it is, I guess.
And you were gone 2 years, right? A little more.
So I was gone for 1 year, and then I had to come back because my visa was up. And I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. I was like, okay, I turned that 3 months into a year. Let's go back and regroup. And pretty much like a week after I was home and saw my friends and family that I really missed, I knew I needed to go back.
It wasn't a want.
No.
It wasn't a maybe.
No.
It was I'm going back.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Sat down with my parents, told them, I'm like, this is what's going to happen. It has to happen, and it's not really up to you. I hope you guys can support me in doing this because I'm just happier over there. I'm more comfortable. I can do something that I love every day. And yeah, so that was and then it was supposed to be a quick turnaround, but I was waiting for my second year visa to be approved.
Yep.
So that quick turnaround turned into a few months of playing a waiting game at home, which was not healthy, mentally, physically, whatever, just not knowing. It wasn't healthy because me and my friends probably had 5 bender weekends in a row saying it was my last weekend before I left.
This is the Sam I knew in college,
Yeah.
by the way, everybody. That's the Sam I knew in college, the bender Sam. I'm dead. That's amazing.
So yeah, it was so funny. We still use it as a joke all the time. It's Sam's last weekend. And then we'd go crazy. And then next week would come by, it's Sam's last weekend. And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if my visa gets approved, I'm literally leaving the next day. So
can't waste a weekend. Are you
can't
kidding
waste
me?
a weekend. No
No
way.
way.
And we had so much fun. And that just like, if you have something to celebrate and something to be fun, like times can be so much fun with your friends. If you're just getting together to do whatever, it's same old, same old. We've done it 100 times since college, right? But there was a little bit deeper, because I'm sure they didn't want me to go, just like I didn't want to leave them. Like,
of course not. But you had life to live. You had things to go figure out for yourself.
And those are people that'll be there when I get back. And if they're not, then that's fine too.
Yeah. Someone I mentioned your trip to, and this is a transition because of your friends that you're talking about at home.
Yeah.
They were asking me like, well, how did he go like make friends? Like, how did he make friends over there?
Yeah.
How does someone do that? And I thought that was a really interesting concept, because we all have friends.
Yep.
We all make friends.
Yep.
But why is it so daunting that when you go abroad or you leave, you like to a new state even, let alone across the country, like why is it making friends so daunting? So what a piece of advice do you have to someone that says that or asks that?
You have to realize, I guess the one piece of advice I can give is you have to realize that there's so many people in that same situation that you don't know just by looking at them, right? Mm-hmm. So if you cross someone on the street, there's no way you know if he's from there. Sometimes you can tell, but you don't. So you don't know if he's from there. You don't know if he has a big group of friends, if he's new, if he just moved. And there's so many other people, especially over in Australia or different parts of the world, Southeast Asia, all those, that Europe, that people are traveling, whether they're alone, whether they're by themselves. There's so many people in your same situation, but you don't know that until you go and ask, or you go and find out, or you have to put yourself out there. Maybe that makes people uncomfortable, saying, hi, I'm Sam. I just moved here. What's up? Can I buy you a beer? Like, what are you guys doing tonight? And that feels like such a weird thing here. No one would really be comfortable doing that. It's something that I've noticed a lot after being back.
Yeah, the norms here versus the norms elsewhere.
Yeah, or we'll say, remember Sid's friend that came the other week? Yeah, she was so fun, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was awesome. And then that's it. It wouldn't be like, oh, should we invite her tonight to what we're doing? Or, oh, did anyone get her phone number? I should send her a text and see if she wants to go hiking or do something soon. Like, it would just be like, oh, they were really cool. And then we're going to go back to doing what we're doing.
It's the comfortability and the norm, I think, and the less, I don't know, people don't put pressure on themselves to like be better, do better every day, of like inviting more people in, or thinking about what that person's emotions are. Because when you're alone and you're like, damn, how would I feel if someone didn't think of me over here and, didn't text me and offer me to do something? But like that seems normal to you now that you're over there, because you're like, yeah, that's how I feel. Very
well. And it feels so good if you're on the other side of it. If all of a sudden people would come out on the boat, people would, just be in the city, and you'd end up talking to someone at the bar or whatever. And then you'd end up having a whole night of fun with them and go back to their place and have all this, stay up till 4 a.m. doing it. Classic.
Another time, another bender.
Doing all that kind of stuff. And you realize like that was so nice of them to just do a nice thing and just let me be a part of their fun. But not only just let me be a part of it, but actually make me feel like I am a part of it. Exactly. Not just I was with Sid and all of her friends.
Exactly. Yes.
My cousin came to visit me when I was over there, and he stayed for like 14 days or something like that.
Where is this right now?
In Cairns, in Australia. And he said for the first 2 days, he felt like he was Sam's cousin. And then for the next 12 days, he felt like he was Jason.
Oh, that's so special.
So he never, after that, and my friends didn't make him, everyone just is such a happy, peaceful, welcoming sort of aura to whatever you're doing.
Different priorities.
And it almost helps you be comfortable. Like here, it would be hard. I've heard of a lot of people moving cities and having trouble finding friends and stuff like that. And it might be just a part of the culture and a little bit of a difference. But it's almost easier over there, because when you just make eye contact with someone, it's not like a quick smile and look away. It's like a real, true smile or a wave or something where it's like, oh, I feel like I should go talk to them. You know what I mean?
That's special.
And
that's so
right.
Cool.
It is. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think people would surprise themselves if they go and do it. And then once you make one good friend, you realize there's probably a lot more around you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then it just becomes easier and easier and easier. And so I think that's a thing. And another thing is that my aunt actually went to Australia a long time ago, and I was just with her yesterday. And she was saying that it almost feels like they're a little bit back in time over there. Like everything's moving a
Interesting.
little bit slower, and everyone's so rushed here and moving on and busy and occupied in their head.
I'm worried
with
about
all
sharing
of this
probably
stuff.
on social media.
Yeah, all that stuff. And or my dad said when he was over there, he came to visit me as well. He was like, just someone in line with me. We just had a 15, 20-minute conversation, and then he just said, oh, well, thanks for the chat. See you later. Never knew his name, never knew anything. Was no reason to initiate conversation, just to chat because they're both waiting in line at the same time. And that's something that
so
seems so
refreshing.
odd here.
Yeah.
But you can make someone's day just by chatting with them, and just saying hello and with a smile or being nice. And it goes a long way. So it's cool to see those different cultures in different areas of the world.
It really opens your perspective.
Yeah.
Man, the
It's like,
differences
why
are just...
shouldn't I be more like that?
Exactly.
Wow,
exactly.
that was such a cool person that came and did that. I can be more like that.
It
And then
makes
it's
you
kind
better.
of like the spiderweb effect. It just keeps going and can, who knows where it's going to stop.
And who knows who you can affect and onward and upward. Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to bring it back to the timeline
Yep,
because
we're
I want to
back.
know, and we're back. I want to know where you went. Now
Cool.
you are in your
So,
scuba diving job
Yep.
in Cairns.
So
What was next?
I'll try and sum this up quick so we can reference back to it.
Yes,
Instead
exactly.
of making it such a broken thing because
But
I have such a bad...
Remember when you want to tell a story about something. 'Cause
Yes, of
I
course,
love that.
of course. So, like I said, I came back for a few months, was waiting for that visa,
Party.
bender. And then I ended up going back. I got offered a job back there, basically the job that I wanted right when I started working for the company.
Hell yeah.
I said, that's the job I want. And then while I was home, as kind of an incentive for me to come back, my boss was like, I can give you this job. So I did. I took it. And
What was the job?
It was the quote-unquote senior instructor role
Ooh.
on Reef Encounter.
Oh
No.
my goodness gracious.
So, yeah, I basically was just with partners, with other instructors, 2 at a time. It was me and Will Wood at first. Shout out Will Wood. He probably will never listen to this. And
Maybe he will.
And Martina Costas, my good Chilean friend. But basically, we were in charge of the dive operation. So we got who was coming on board. We figured out what they wanted to do, and then we orchestrated all of that. So we
Amazing.
didn't really have a boss on board. We had the skipper, but he was basically sleeping all day, moving the boat twice a day, and then just doing nothing. So we just it was fun. Like with 13 of us friends, we ran an operation.
Amazing.
No boss, no anything. Like everyone's just doing their part, having tons of fun. And that was a big thing, The people are there on vacation on the Great Barrier Reef, something they might have saved their whole life to do. We all love our jobs, so everyone's just happy.
What an
There's no one-
environment to
right.
be in.
And sometimes there's someone crabby because they don't have any dry towels or something like that, but that's like the worst thing that could happen.
The priorities are
You
just
know?
insane. You know what I mean? They're like,
Right.
that's what you're thinking of when we're at the Great
right.
Barrier Reef, I mean?
So some people are just unfixable, I think. But.
Exactly. Okay, so you're here.
So there we go. We start going
I know,
off
we're
the
like, wait a minute.
timeline again. So I go back, and I'm there for 9 months. I do that job, 9 months straight. And I was doing 5 days out at sea, and then I'd get 3 days back on land. 5 days out at sea, 3-day bender. 5 days out at sea, 3-day bender.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
joking. These probably people think I'm a party animal. So I did that for 9 months, and through those 9 months, I actually met my current girlfriend, Mickey Albardi. She's a beautiful girl.
I've seen a picture, not going to lie.
And,
Crept. She's gorgeous.
She's
She's gorgeous.
And so she came out to do that 90-day program like I first started doing. And I got to be the instructor for a lot of her courses. So many people, it was like so hard to get me to do their training. And then she came out and I was like, do you want to go train? Like, do you want to go do this? Do you want to go do that? Boom, boom, boom. And I was, I basically
fell.
one of the
You
only
were quick.
people that I trained
Yep.
without twisting my arm,
Exactly.
And so we really didn't like hit it off straight away, I mean, kind of, but we were friends first for a while and then eased into it slowly in a really relaxed way. Because I said after that first time, I was like, I don't want a girlfriend. I'm just going to go back and do me and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's always when it happens, isn't it?
Exactly. Right when you're not looking or right when you don't want it, so to speak.
So after last Christmas, so like right at the new year, we said, let's quit and let's go sailing. because she had a little bit of a sailing background, and I've wanted to get more and more into sailing. And we had a friend that was in the Solomon Islands, which is a little string of islands right by Papua New Guinea, for those of you that don't know. I didn't know before I went there, so don't feel bad. And it is like 900 plus islands that make up the whole country, and it is just untouched, beautiful South Pacific islands, basically. Vanuatu, New Caledonia, it's all around those areas. And it is just pristine, right on the equator, tropical, amazing. And so we got to do that for 6 weeks.
So you're there for 6 weeks. This is COVID right now, isn't it?
This COVID happened while we were out there. And we were so off the grid, we didn't know anything about COVID until March when we got back.
You had no idea what was going on
in
the world
because
you were
We didn't have any
so
cell service,
off the grid.
no internet, no anything.
The
only thing we heard about COVID was when we went to one island once, and there was a market with a guy with a megaphone. And we couldn't understand what the hell he was saying, but he was keeping one of the Chinese cargo ships out. They were trying to drop off supplies, but they were like keeping them out because of the virus. And we were like, what? Some Chinese virus? Like, this is weird.
What are you talking
about? Like, these islanders are crazy. You know what I mean?
On to the next island, like just island hopping. Not a worry in the world.
No. Well, I mean, some. That's, again, back to that. It's like, not a worry in the world, but if you got hurt, if you got sick, it's days until anyone helps you. If you break your arm, if you get really sick, some infection or something like that, which is really common, it would be a little while before you got any help.
Man.
So, but that's not on our minds.
No,
you know what I mean?
You're moving too fast.
That's just kind of in the back, and we all have had experience on boats and stuff like that. So that's second nature to us, is take those safety precautions, and the skipper of the boat was the owner of the boat. He used to drive my dive boat in Australia. So he left and brought his own sailboat up there. It was a 33-foot boat, so not very big for 4 people,
right?
6 weeks. And so he had immense experience. I learned a lot from him through
6 weeks,
my time. But yeah, it's a long time.
That's
90
amazing.
days.
90 days of no cell service, living off the grid, learning just...
Fishing. We would trade fish with the local islander villagers. We couldn't speak to them, but they would bring them a big fish and trade for fruit and vegetables because there's no markets or anything out there.
Oh my gosh.
And we had like canned stuff just in case, but we didn't want to eat canned veggies. So.
No, nobody does.
And a lot of them had like a shit little garden and not much in it, but sometimes we'd hit the jackpot and they would love us. You know, they'd take the fish and say, thank you so much, and bring us baskets full of, like the most purple eggplants and big watermelons and bananas and all this cool stuff
that they grew by themselves on their island.
They would just send 2 people to go with baskets, and then they would come back with that. They had fresh eggs from chickens that they had running around. And so it was like a totally different experience, that one.
The value of things changed, I'm sure, for you.
Well, like my dad's like, what the hell do you do every day? Like, what do you do? You wake up and you have nothing. I'm like, well, that's a pretty beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I wake up and I jump in the water, and then we make breakfast for everyone, listen to music, and say, what do we want to do? Do we want to stay here? Do we want to move spots? Do we want to go surfing? Do we want to go spearfishing? Do we want to snorkel, explore an island, climb coconut trees? Like, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, I know.
It kind of does, but it's like but it's like, how do you look at it? What angle do you want to look at it as? As it's something ridiculous, or as it's like this lifestyle that you actually can have,
of course,
if you do it correctly, if you work for what you want, time by time. Because, it's weird because the society we live in right now is like, work until you're old and then you can live your life.
Yep.
But why would you not? If we don't know tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, years from now, if we're even going to get that, why would we not work in little segments? And why is that so frowned upon? Yeah,
there's a really good book by a guy named Yuval Noah Harari. It's called Sapiens. Yep, he called it out. It's a great, great book. I highly recommend everyone to read it.
Reading it.
It is amazing. It's called A Brief History of Humankind.
My roommate, Angela, just read it, and she told me you have to read it, and when she comes home, I'm going to read it.
So speaking of timelines, it's about a timeline from 250 million years ago, which is what we think the start of Homo sapiens was, all the way until today. And what something that really stuck with me, and I say all the time from that book, is the pursuit of an easier life often ended in a lot of hardship. And that's happened a lot through history and stuff, but it says, how many people do you know that dedicate their lives to high-powered firms with goals of retiring at 35 to pursue their actual dreams. But what happens when they're 35? They're married, they have kids, they have a house to pay for, they have 2 cars, and the sense that life is not worth living without expensive trips abroad and good tasting wine. I think that's the quote. Something like that. It's not exact, but
wow.
And what do when they're 35? They double down and they keep slaving away. I think he says something like that. And I posted that a long time ago. One of my friends that I'm actually meeting up with after this said, "This is my life." And I was like,
Oh, that's scary.
yeah, a little bit. But he's also a very different type of person than I am. He loves the grind. He loves that. He's always been that way.
There you go.
And, it hits people differently. Maybe he gets so much more gratification from doing those things than I would. And that's okay. But it basically, yeah. Sometimes when we think we make life easier, we actually make it more difficult for ourselves.
We complicate it.
Like think about the internet and email and stuff. It used to be so hard to send a message to someone, and now we made it easier, but now we just send hundreds of messages to hundreds of people every day. So we're not actually making anything easier. We're making things easier, but we're adding more to our daily activities or our daily requirements or whatever we're doing.
And in turn making it harder.
Yeah.
Interesting. What a cool viewpoint. I'm
It
going to
is.
read that book.
Oh my gosh, you have to.
Wow.
It's so good.
Oh my gosh.
He has 2 more. If you read it and it's super good, you want 2 more. Homo Deus is like from now, future.
Uh-huh.
So it means human God, Homo Deus.
I'm going to
like
read
about
these.
artificial intelligence and stuff. And then there's 21 lessons for the 21st century. So basically there's a book for any time frame that you want to think about. The past, now, the present, future, whatever.
And those have guided you.
I read all 3 of them. Yeah, they're amazing.
And you love them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yuval Noah Harari, he's an amazing writer.
I'm sure you had time to read when you were over there.
I read more books in the last few years than I did in my entire life.
Interesting, considering college, this situation where you're like, I don't want to learn.
School
but
couldn't
you did.
make me read a book if they tried.
And then, but
I
when
think
you
I
were
was
at
the
peace,
SparkNotes god. Seriously, I was so good at SparkNotes. I was so good at bullshitting a chapter review in front of the class. Like I didn't read those things. But now when no one's making me read and I'm finding books that I'm interested in, sometimes you can't pry it out of my fingers.
How much more of a valuable person are you right now than you were maybe, say, coming out of college and in despair and like no kind of sense for life? And now look at you. You're like vibrant and lively and intelligent and have seen so much more and more connected to humans. Like I've just difference.
It's weird how if you tell people something enough, they're gonna believe it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's we've always done that. That's how if you tell a kid Santa's real, he's gonna believe it, right? Until he figures out otherwise. So I kind of think, that's a bit of an extreme example, but I think that's kind of what I was letting myself slip into. My dad's very straight-laced, very follow the rules. He can have a bender himself, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't. He likes everything to be set. He likes a plan A, a plan B, that comfort, the safety net, and he didn't like that I didn't have it, and it made us butt heads a lot.
I see.
And so I felt like a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, like even though this happened, I want to show him, I want to show other people that no matter what everyone, so cliche, no matter what everyone says, you can go and do the things that you want to do. And everyone's heard it and they go, oh, well, you have predisposition or you're this kind of person. And I totally understand that not everyone is fit to pick up with a little bit of money and go across the world. But it's the baby steps. It's doing those things that you want to do. And you can mix it with your fun and your work. You can try and make it your work. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But it's just, I was in a tough spot in my head right after college. And there was that embarrassment part of it. I had a lot of good friends that never knew I didn't graduate. I didn't post any picture of graduation, but I did go for the 4 years, and then I stopped going.
Right.
So a lot of people, that was very normal. It wasn't like I left early or I stayed for 7 years and I could never graduate. It was like 4 years, maybe 2.5 years of credit, and then boop, done.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard to leave.
Yep.
But after, right when you get on the plane and you leave, it's done. No one around you knows your past. No one around you is judging you for anything. You get the realization that it doesn't really matter.
you
it's
kind of get a free break. Yeah. And it doesn't matter. Like you're not carrying anything with you when you go over there besides what's in your mind. Nobody knows it around you. Your value of life, would you say it's a lot higher now?
Yes, absolutely.
Completely.
Yeah. Well, it's maybe the appreciation of life is a lot higher. I think the value of life is you define it yourself, and it takes a while to figure out where that is. You've just seen
so much more.
Right. But that makes, it makes you appreciate it, It makes you appreciate the ability to go and do these things, or to have the chances that you have to take advantage of. That's another thing. You have to take advantage of chances that you get, and you can't think twice, and you can't think, oh, well, this one pays better, or, oh, I'd rather just wait it out. Maybe next year. It's 2021, folks. Get on it.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
It's time to roll. I have some random questions that I have to get to because I want to pick your brain so much. And it's like you and I could talk for 14 hours. I swear to God.
This could be a long one.
It could be a long one. We could ramble. I have to ask you these.
Yep.
Who is the most interesting person you've met?
Oh, man, that's so hard.
I knew it was going to be hard. That's why I had to ask it to you. Because I'm sure the people that you met there were just phenomenal.
Most interesting person I met.
Or, I'll switch it. Or, the best piece of advice someone gave you over there,
okay.
Like something you learned from someone.
Well, the most interesting people that I met, I'll change it to, were definitely, like we said, in the Solomon Islands, the people that were living off the land, 100% living off the land. Like, these people are on their own island. There's no roads. There's no car. There's no anything. They cleared out this little space of trees. There's one big house that's a school. There's one big house that's a church. And then there's like 4 or 5 huts that they live in. And that's it. And they're all made out of one kind of tree. They make all their boats out of one kind of tree. They don't go anywhere other than to go fishing. And they fish with another part of a tree with a leaf as their lure. And a leaf as their hook, That's
insane.
100%. Like, their clothes are made from either clothes that were maybe brought to them or something long time ago, or different things that they find that are around. And just to be able to connect with people like that are so different from anything and everything I've known my whole life. It was a really beautiful thing. It was so interesting to see those people look at us, and we're on a little 33-foot sailboat. No one would even turn their head twice at that around here. But there it was like we were gods pulling up or something.
Wow.
And then they all get on the beach, and they're all looking at us while we're coming in, and we anchor, and we get in the little dinghy or the tender and bring it in, and we show a fish straight away. We're bringing them a big fish.
Kind of also as a piece.
Of course. This is your island. This is your land. We don't want to do any. We just want to interact. We couldn't really speak with them, but we could interact. And a lot of a lot of talking is done non-verbally, with your eyes, with your facial expressions, with your body language, with a smile, with even a noise, laughing, something like that. That goes through all languages. A laugh is a laugh. Everyone knows what that is, And they would start off really timid at first, but then they realize that we're happy and we're nice, and we invite them out to the boat, or we run around with them and play soccer, and I'll kick them the ball. I always tried to play with the little kids because they just fascinated me, and they were so scared. They would hide behind houses and trees, and then when I would look at them, they would giggle and look away.
It's so cute.
And then one of them would muster up the courage to kick the ball back to me. And then all of a sudden, they're just climbing all over you. They all want to play ball with you now. And so those were definitely the most interesting people that I ran into. God, I didn't learn much of anything about them other than how happy these little kids were with literally nothing. Nothing.
Gosh. Off the grid.
We sometimes when we maybe we didn't catch a fresh fish that day and we really needed veg, we would offer them money, Solomon dollars. But they were like, what is this?
What am I going to do with that?
What is this? They almost looked like they hadn't even seen it before. Some places would take it because some villages were bigger than others, but it was
just not something that they use.
No.
Wow. And you know what, this is interesting because I think about being there, and I think about, what someone would do in that moment, taking in all of this beauty and these interesting people. In your mind, you were probably not I'm going to get a photo of this.
Never.
ever,
I'm
right?
so bad at taking photos.
But isn't that interesting how some people like they vacation or go new places just to show that what they're doing and what they're working on and what they're doing in their life. And look what I saw.
Yeah.
Look exactly
Look at me
what
in
I
this
saw.
beautiful place.
That's not how you live.
No, well, I mean, I do.
Well, you take pictures, but to share, I'm saying,
right.
social media.
I like to share things because I don't want a complete disconnection from family and friends at home. I think that's really important. And also, I like to use it as like a photo archive, you know? Like I break so many phones that it's no one's business. I probably go through like 2 or 3 phones a year, no lie. It's so bad.
You're wild.
I know.
The bender weekends, that'll happen.
No, I'm actually pretty good when I'm drunk with my phone. It's more like just doing stupid shit. But anyways, so I constantly am losing all my photos that are on my phone, like dropping it in the water or something like that. They're all gone. But if you put it up on a social media thing, not like a all the time or not like a look at me sort of way, but just like these are some of the cooler photos that either I got. Most of the time someone else gets them and I'm like, you should give me that. Yeah, that's a cool.
Send that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll just put that up because that'll be there forever. You know, I'll be able to look back and speaking of timelines again, it kind of has like a timeline of your whole life since you're whatever, sophomore in high school or something.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I like to use it, but I never think to bring out my phone. And I honestly wish I did maybe a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. You're like too little of capturing the moment.
Because I want to be in the moment. But I also love looking at photos.
For your own reminiscing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. For your own reminiscing and remembrance of a story.
Right. All the time I'll go on my computer and just when I'm bored, like out at sea with no service and just go to my first photo I have and just scroll all the way through.
Yeah.
Not sending them, just for, because, a picture says 1,000 words. You get a whole story and a time of your life and everything from a photo. So
I love that.
I wish someone was like taking a bunch of photos for me, but they weren't actually there, like taking a bunch of photos. Because I always get like annoyed with people. I don't like I like candid photos. Speaking of
candid, wait a minute, boom, there it is, straight candid.
Like not like okay, everyone pose in front of this beautiful thing, but like while everyone's having a good time or whatever, you just flick out your phone, boop boop, get a few, and then check them later. Like they might be shitty, but.
Speaking of candid, I was going to ask you this whole time. I think I even mentioned that I might ask you something like this. What was the scariest moment of your entire time being abroad? Like the scariest moment that you had? Okay.
I had a few, but one that was scary is a classic Australian surfing story.
Oh,
but
here we go.
I wasn't in Australia. I was in the Solomons. And so they had huge, huge surf out there. Like 10, 12-foot waves in the middle, like all reef breaks, like out and like, again, hundreds of miles from anyone else or a hospital or anything like that.
These make the California waves go to shame, right? These are
huge. Well, Cali can get really big too, but they're they're like smoother because it was like glass out, but all of a sudden, boom, this huge wave would come up or something. And I surf, but I'm not as good as my buddy that I was with. And our first day that we were there, he's like, oh, let's go surf. Like the surf's pumping over here. And I was like, okay. And we took the little tender way away from the sailboat and we got to this spot that we called Shifty Peaks. And the reason why we called it that is because it wasn't like a steady break from one side.
Right.
It was either the shape of the reef or the swell was being funny. And sometimes a wave would come from the left. Sometimes a wave would come from the right. Sometimes it would come straight on. So you don't really know. And I caught my first wave in and I went for a bit and then ate shit. And then tumbled around a bit, which is totally normal. And then I look and there's a big maybe set of like 4 or 5 more big waves coming at me.
Oh, man.
And I was like, okay, it's fine. And duck dove one and just get nailed again, lose my board, everything. Come back again. Boom, second one goes. And I don't know if you know surfing much, but you're supposed to like duck dive under waves, which is like you push the nose of the board down and then try and go as deep under it as you can. Well, before the third one came, I tried to duck dive, and my board didn't get 2 feet down before it hit the reef. So I knew now that I was like in no water at all, right on top of the reef. I can't see the boat. I can't see my friend, and I'm tired as fuck by this time, like out of breath. I can't just go to shore because we're not off the shore. We're off a reef like hundreds of feet offshore. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I just kept getting blasted over and over, like 5 or 6 times. And this isn't blasted like you said, Cali waves. Maybe sometimes they get big, but this is like getting thrown in the dishwasher.
Oh,
and like
man.
having to hold your breath for like 30, 40 seconds every time. Like you try and go under and it takes you back 50 feet. And then you get up 20 feet and you try and go under and it takes you back another 50. So you're doing 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And I was just started to think, I was like, I'm so tired. I'm getting scraped up by this reef. Like, what if I just get pulled away and I just keep going further away from him? And I ended up just saying, fuck this, and went like all the way out and around. And it took me so long to get back. So it wasn't like a scary, like, I think I'm going to die right now. But it was like, what happens if I go and get a really bad cut on my arm or something like this right now? We're in the middle of the ocean. I'm not going to get any help for probably 3-4 days. And it was like maybe I should have kind of started on a little more mellow wave and moved into the 10,
into
12
the big
footers.
boys. Yep.
So that was literally my first wave in the Solomon Islands. I had a little thought where I was like, I'm fucked.
Shit.
And this was like our first day there. I didn't even kind of realize what I was getting myself into. But I think I wrote down one more as well, because obviously I thought you'd ask me this question. Oh, of course. I got in
This is another scary moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Near death. Really quick. I got in a really bad car accident.
I want to know. I just want to make sure I'm tracking.
I got in a really bad car accident.
You did? I didn't know that.
That was in my first year. Coming back from doing Yongala, which is like a really famous shipwreck. Me and 2 friends, we drove 7 hours down there after work, slept in the car, and then did 2 like 100+ foot dives back to back. And we can get all into diving, but that gets you pretty fucking tired and fucked up if you've done that for all day, basically. And then we hop in the car and we got to go straight back 7 hours because we all worked the next day. So we had like 1 day off and we made this big trip happen. Hardly slept in a car. And one thing led to another. We all don't really know what happened. It was just a 1-lane highway. And all of a sudden we got pulled off the road. I wasn't driving. My friend was driving. And we probably messed around for like, I don't know, 50 yards or something like that. I mean, we were going probably like close to 90 miles an hour when we came off the road.
Zipping down a 1-lane highway and you got hit?
We didn't get hit. We just went off the road. So like it was a turn and my friend that was driving was either looking back or looking at the radio, or like the cop said he might have even micro slept because we were so
exhausted.
Gassed. And you close your eyes for 1 second, you go 100 meters, you know, when you're going that fast. And one thing, I don't know, no one really knows how it happened, but we came off the road and it was so scary. I don't know if anyone's been in a bad car accident before, but, well, actually I do know. A lot of people have been, but
I've been in
it's
an
like
accident,
it's like a bomb goes off in the car. Like it is scary as fuck. And we went crazy and so there was basically like a ditch that we hit like a jump. After the little car came off, we did like a full 360 and landed on the wheels and then slammed into a fence. Like the guy behind us pulled over and came out screaming with his hands on his head, like thinking he just saw people
die.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the car was smoking and I had Crocs on, like the shoes.
I have to laugh because that's a great call out.
And I didn't have my safety straps on.
Oh no.
I know. What was I thinking?
Oh.
And the car accident was so bad, like 50, 60 feet away from the car, one of my Crocs was outside of the car. So it came off my foot and flew out the window or out the top or something like that.
Oh my God.
And it kind of eased the mood a bit because the chick that was in the back was in really bad shape. We didn't know, but she bit her tongue really bad.
Oh no.
And she was just in shock. So she was like, non-responsive, like wouldn't talk to us. And she also wasn't super good at English. She's from South Korea. And so we got her, and it was like 110 degrees that day, too. We're in the middle of, like, bumfuck nowhere. And so we go and bring her into shade that was, like, pretty far away. And on the way back, we saw my Croc, and I was like, dude, I didn't have my safety straps on. And we both had a little laugh, like, just kind of brought us back to, like,
we're okay, we're alive.
It's all good. Kind of, like, threw a little joke in there. Maybe it was too soon, but we both thought it was pretty funny.
I'm glad you're okay.
Everyone was okay. I broke 2 ribs, but that's it. Like, that's so lucky.
Well, it's lucky for what happened.
Everyone was like, I don't know
90.
how we didn't flip.
That's
Like
kind of
we
what
were
I was
just
thinking.
sliding around. It was like a car on ice. We were just like sliding through this dry grass, just doing these donuts. But I don't know how, but we didn't flip.
I'm so wowed by that.
And then
I'm
the ditch
glad
that
you're
we
okay.
hit like a jump, like we could have just boom gone straight down
Nose
into it,
dove.
you know. But we just hit it like tiny wings.
You just got lucky. You got
remember
freaking
that game,
lucky.
Tiny Wings?
Tiny Wings? Of course I did. Man, jeez,
So yeah, those are
out.
probably two, just off the top of my head, two scariest moments. I've had some scary stuff like scuba diving as well, but that's
totally.
yeah.
And
That's like not
another
me.
even-
That's like for someone else freaking out, and I'm just like chilling.
You're like, you got to breathe.
Yeah.
Just take a second. Wow. Well, I'm glad you're freaking okay.
Yeah, all good.
Knowing all this, knowing what you've learned, lived through, holy crap. I have to ask, what's next? What's next for you right now?
Well, this COVID monster is making things pretty difficult
I
at the moment.
know.
And this isn't a COVID podcast, and I don't want it to be. But I am going down to Florida in like a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try my luck down there and get on some boats, and either fishing boats or scuba diving boats, and save up a little bit of money. And then the end game is me and my girlfriend are going to do that Croatia Yacht Week.
Ooh.
So yeah, we're going to both get all of our stuff that we need to get, and hopefully just crew a boat together, just us two,
Yeah.
kind of switching off driving and cooking because we can both do both, and take people on benders.
Oh my God.
Take them on parties.
So
this
Croatia
should
is
be
what's
like
your
the,
next
the
goal?
Bender podcast.
Yeah, the Bender
Like,
podcast
that's
starring
that's the
Sam.
word of the podcast. I've said it like 100 times.
The Bender. We're
Yeah.
going to have like tallies. It's going to be a drinking game maybe or
Yeah.
something.
One of those.
So Croatia, well, Florida's next and then
Yeah.
Croatia.
Hopefully. I
and
mean,
then, so your current next goal is chartering
yeah,
these boats
just to
off the
get,
coast.
it's called a commercial skipper's ticket. So where
Yep.
I can legally take paying customers out on a boat.
How do you
by
get,
myself.
and you just would rent these
It's
boats,
just-
assumingly.
Yeah, you can. That
Or work for a
that
company, I
specific
suppose.
one lends out boats, but yeah,
I see.
most you can do people's private boats. You can do your own boat. You can rent boats. You can work for a company's boat. It's kind of like endless options,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just starting to feel like I'm ready to do that. I wanted to
Mhm.
work on a lot of different boats and get a lot of different experience first,
Damn.
because I just want to see and figure out as much shit as I can before it's like my ass that's on the line. And
That's what you got to do in every situation.
exactly.
Figure it out through other
Right.
people's mistakes, technically.
And see them.
Man.
And there's so much you can learn from different people, because there's little tricks and different secret things that people teach you all the time. So
Just having your ears open.
Yeah.
It changes in every situation, everything you do.
that's the next step. And that is has endless opportunities on where you can do that stuff. Basically anywhere that there's
Damn.
water.
You got
which is
shit coming.
77% of the world or something like that.
It's kind of amazing how much you know is coming without even knowing what's coming, if that makes sense. You know what you want to do next.
Yeah.
Briefly, lightly at some point, but it's like you're living so freely. Like it feels good even just knowing that you live that way, because that means that I could live that way.
Yeah. It's
I
just
could do
baby
these things.
steps.
It's baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
People
totally
think
right.
too far in the future, and then they forget about the now. And the now's pretty damn good if you chill a bit.
Exactly. As we start to wrap up towards the end of this podcast, do you give me permission to read the call outs that you sent to me before we did this
I don't
podcast?
think I remember them, but sure.
I wrote them down.
Okay.
Because I was like, I need to say these. These are what Sam shared with me that he wanted to portray on the podcast. And I just read them, and you portrayed them all, which is like
Okay.
very freaking impressive without keeping them top
I
of
don't
mind.
even- I
I know
don't
you're like,
remember them
what are these?
either.
First one is don't be scared of the unknown, which we've talked
course.
about a million times.
Should I like
here.
elaborate a little bit on each of these?
Maybe
very
like
briefly?
a quick sentence.
Okay. Don't be scared of the unknown, because it's not that scary.
I love that. 2, finding who you are and what you want in life.
It feels really damn good to figure out what you want in life, and finding who you are is like a lifelong thing. So just keep doing it.
Keep pushing. I love that. Defining success for yourself.
Oh, that's
Is
so
3.
important. And you'll also do that through time as well, but you'll feel it. You'll feel when you know you're successful, and it doesn't matter what other people say or think.
Amazing. 4, leaving the comfort zone for real. Baby steps.
Like I said, baby steps. I've probably said it a lot again. Leaving the comfort zone is huge for growth, and everyone should keep growing no matter how old they are, what they're doing.
5, home will always be home.
Truth. That's the truth.
That's the truth right there.
I mean, look, you come back for 2 years and all my friends are still my best friends. My family's still my family. We didn't talk for 4 years or whatever like that. And I'm here on your podcast.
4 years we went dry and he's on our podcast right now.
Go.
That's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Sam, you've been unreal. I didn't ask you any major questions prior to this because I wanted to come in literally knowing as little as possible in order to get everything out of what you've learned being abroad and your next adventures. I can't wait to have you on next after your next adventure. I'm not kidding. This is you live this life and I don't want to live vicariously through you, which is something Sam told me never to say. I want to use your experiences to push me to go further.
There you go.
One thing that we always ask before, this is our last little thing that we always ask guests. No, it's okay. We always ask guests about their biggest insecurity, physically, emotionally, just in general, like an insecurity in your head. Yeah. But I'd love to know how your insecurities have changed, like from before
That's
to
weird
now.
that you just said how it was going to change because I was going to start with saying it's changed.
Yeah.
My biggest insecurity before leaving was dropping out of school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's obvious, I think. I'm not a very insecure person. So that was kind of the first thing that I quote unquote failed at. And that was difficult. And it was difficult because my family didn't really accept it. They knew I was capable and they hated that I didn't apply myself. And I was just insecure with that with my family. But now what my biggest insecurity is now would probably be that I want to make something for myself, So I guess my biggest insecurity would be I don't want to be working for someone else. And I do, but I want to do something bigger. And I guess that would be the biggest insecurity is if I don't do something bigger with my life. I don't want to just make money and do this stuff. I want to do something bigger. So I guess being scared to not do that. But that drives you to do it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, God, I could listen to you speak for hours. I'm not kidding. I don't think you realize how much advice and how much open-mindedness you bring, you just even speaking. So you sharing all this on this platform, which it's, and you didn't even we both were talking before this. We're like, what are we going to do in this? Why are you here? And we're like, I don't know, but it feels damn good to have you on here. Because I'm I just know, I don't know what your story is yet, but I know it's going to be good. And I know your learnings along the way, people will want to and need to hear. Right. Thank you for freaking being here.
No problem.
You guys, Sam, quick plug your Instagram just so people who know who you are and what, if they want to see who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm about to get boosted followers. Hey.
Boom, boom. Here we go. Just do at.
Well, my name's Sam Delosh and I'm at Sam Delosh.
Boom.
Easy.
I know it was easy. I just wanted you to say it because that's just your personality. You're it's that simple. It's that simple.
No numbers, no symbols, no nothing.
Guys, if you want to reach out to us at Straight Candid Podcast, that's us on Instagram. Otherwise, email us at straightcandidpodcast@gmail.com. Sam, you've been a freaking honor.
Cheers.
I can't wait to share this with everybody. Guys,
let's do it.
Holy crap. That was unreal. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Boom, 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 boom.
Easy.
Hey.